Hello everyone. Today in this walkthrough, I will show you how you can transform your API compliance process with Azure API Center and generate intelligent insights by leveraging Azure OpenAI and integrate in your current ecosystem. You can access the blog related to this video at aka.ms/apic/AI. Before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Abbas and I am a senior cloud solution architect. I help customers in innovating and modernizing their applications and processes using Azure and the AI. Now, what we will be covering today. So at a high level, we will be covering like how you can use management to generate API compliance report, which is a new part of API Center. Then how you can use Azure OpenAI to generate intelligent insights from the analysis report, and how we can integrate Azure API Center in our existing ecosystem. Now let's talk about architecture and how the components work at a high level. So the first API definition is uploaded to API Center. This would normally be done using Azure CLI, CI/CD pipeline, or any other automated process. But in our demo, we are going to use Azure Portal. Once the API definition is registered with API Center, API Center will start analysis, and once the analysis is complete, event create will capture the analysis updated event, which is emitted by API Center, and event create will trigger logic apps. Logic apps workflow will fetch the analysis report via REST endpoint from API Center and pass it to Azure OpenAI. And then Azure OpenAI will generate meaningful insights, then will be used by logic apps to create an issue in GitHub. Let's jump into our workflow. So this is how our workflow will look like end to end. So we start with event create. So we capture API Center.analysis. This is updated event. We initialize in second step, we initialize a variable which is of type array. And then we construct a endpoint, API Center endpoint. So let me show you. This is the function, how it looks like. So this is how it will generate. We'll use the variables from the previous section and generate a REST endpoint. Once the endpoint is generated, we will use this in our HTTP action, and we will fetch the report from API analysis. The report which comes back from API Center is in JSON format. Now, important thing over here is that we are using managed identity as the authentication type. So our logic app standard should have managed identity enabled. And this managed identity should have a role assigned as API compliance manager in the API Center. Now, once we fetch the report, we pass it to Azure OpenAI chat completions. We pass a system message, which instructs the model what the user will be passing and how the output should look like. And the second thing we pass in the chat is the analysis report itself. So we will convert this to string because it comes back as JSON object and pass it to the chat completions. Once we get the results back, we will use GitHub action to create issue in our GitHub repository. For the purpose of demo, I'm going to use this simple OpenAPI specification. This is an example to do API. So let me go back to my API Center. I'm going to register it directly from my API Center. So let's create a version and then register this definition. Let's create version v1. Set the life cycle to design. Now let's register this definition. Let's file. Great, it's registered. Now let's go back to our logic app. Yep, it has triggered now. Yep, it's successful. Great. So once this has, we can see all the actions have been completed successfully. Now if I go to my GitHub repo, let me refresh. It has created this issue. Now, as you can see how it has created the summary of findings, it has nicely outputted into an HTML format table, summarized the number of findings, and is providing high-level remediation guidance as per my instructions. Thank you for watching.